What is going on, guys? So today I'm going to cover the pros and cons of joining the military at a young age. Alright, so obviously there's a lot of you watching this video right now that are younger, that are thinking of joining the military. Maybe you think you should wait off a couple of years, maybe you should go to college first before you do it. Maybe you think you should just, get out of high school and just have a few years in the real world before you consider joining the military. And so in this video, this is for you. This is for you to consider some of the pros and cons, in my opinion, of joining the military at a young age. And by a young age, I mean basically under the age of 20. Because I think if you're 20 or older, you've probably been out of high school for a few years, so some of this may not apply to you. So the first big thing that is a huge pro if you decide to actually do 20 years in the military, and this is honestly huge, and that is just you being able to retire super duper early. So if you get your parents' consent and you join at 17, then you could retire at 37. I almost said 27. You could retire at 37, which is ridiculous. But with most people, you're going to join about 18 years old. So if you do active duty, you retire at 38 years old, and then for the rest of your life, immediately right after 38, you're getting retirement checks, which is just insane. Like, you can't really do that anywhere else. I guess you could, do some other government jobs, but there's a whole lot of benefits to joining the military as well, which, I may cover some of those in this video. But retiring at such a freakishly early age is just a huge pro. So if you can stick it out and do those 20 years, you are literally setting yourself up for success the rest of your life. And the next pro to joining the military at a young age is just quite simply, you have a lot less holding you back. For the most part, you're probably not married and you probably don't have kids at age 17, 18, 19. So, that is just a huge factor of, reasons why you might not want to deploy, reasons why you might not want to leave home, and just, all those things that you would be scared about, just leaving your family in general. You don't have like a career that you've already started. You don't have college that you've already, had the ball rolling on. You got to leave college in the middle of college like I did. You just have a lot less that's holding you back, and you can graduate high school and then you're just good. You can just do the military, and if it works out for you, great. If it doesn't work out for you, the third pro, if it doesn't work out for you, you're still pretty darn young. For example, I have a younger brother who joined at 18 years old, and his contract is going to be up here soon, and so he's going to be getting out of the military at about, I think he's going to basically have just turned 22 years old, which is still ridiculously young. I literally left for basic training on my 22nd birthday, so he's getting out of the military at the same time that I went into the military. And my other younger brother, who is in the Army Reserves, I believe he was 17. I think he might have got my parents' permission. I honestly don't know for sure, but I believe he was 17 years old, almost 18, whenever he actually left for basic training and signed his, contract and joined the military. So for them, with one brother getting out of the military, he is getting out at the same time that I went into the military. He can choose to go to college. He can choose to just enter the workforce and not go to college because maybe college isn't for him. He has a whole bunch of opportunities for him because he's still super young. So even if you decide to get out of the military after your first contract, you still have so much time ahead of you. You've basically got this huge experience, this huge boost to help you succeed in life. You've already gotten that out of the way, and now at age 21, if you're 17, 22, 23 years old, you've got a lot of your life left to go. So now for my next pro, one of the things that's really nice about the military that I've talked about on this channel before is that, especially at a young age, you're gonna get a lot of leadership experience, real world scenario experiences. You're gonna get a lot of those experiences that you're not going to get at that same age. If you go to college, if you go work at a company, you're just not going to get those type of leadership experiences, those personal development skills that you're going to develop early on at a super early age. That is a huge pro. That is one of the things that employers are just in general looking for, is somebody who joins the military, they get all that leadership experience, they get out of the military, they're a much better leader, they can work with a team much better. That is something that employers are looking for. That's also a personal thing for you, that you are going to get those experiences at a young age, where if you graduate from high school, you may go to college, you may lead a couple groups in class or something like that. That's not really leadership experience in my opinion. I mean, it's like very small amounts of leadership experience. But basically, you know, you could get out of college and then you get your job, and then you have an entry-level job where you're not in charge of anything or anybody, or you're just in charge of yourself. Whereas that's the exact same level that you're going to be at joining the military as a private. So you could be, you know, 23, 24, 25, 26 years old, getting less experience than a 17, 18-year-old private in the military. And then they're going to start getting experience leading teams of people, maybe even potentially leading squads of people before they're even 20 years old. And it could take you, you know, 5 years in the workforce before you actually start to get that kind of leadership experience. So the next pro that I'm actually going to give here is going to college at a little bit of an older age is actually a good thing. It's actually a pro, because if you leave and you go to college at 17, 18, 19 years old, you're gonna be a lot less mature than somebody who's going to college at age 21, 22, 23. The reason being is because of those years when you're maturing, you're developing, you're becoming an actual responsible adult. Going into college after the military, you are going to be a lot more focused on getting things done. You're probably gonna spend a lot less time wasting time, because, you know, with that military, you know, life that you've had since being an adult, you know, you're gonna be focused on getting the job done. You're not gonna, you know, procrastinate probably as much as you would have if you would have just joined or went to college at age 17, 18, 19, when people normally go to college. So you're probably not gonna make as many mistakes in college, the college life, just getting good grades, things like that, as you would have, you know, if you would have joined, you know, right out of high school. I can kind of speak from that, from personal experience. For example, myself, whenever I went to college, I went at age 19, I believe. And for example, this is just real life stuff. My GPA, I went to college for 3 years, and the GPA I had for those 3 years was like a I think honestly it was like a 2.1 or a 2.2. It honestly wasn't that great. Partly because, you know, I just didn't really care about GPA that much. If you guys know me, I care a lot about real world experiences versus, oh, I have a 4.0 GPA. But a lot of it just had to do with me being a lot less mature, a lot less focused on actually doing things that's gonna help me succeed in life. And then I joined the military, and my last 3 years of college, because I went to college for essentially 6 years because I did ROTC, all this stuff, but basically, my GPA for those last 3 years, which are going to be harder than the first 3 years, because the last couple of years of your college is much more difficult than the first couple of years of college. But basically my GPA in that was, I think, a 3.6 or 7 as a computer science major. And so that's, for me, just a big tell for just like the military values that was just instilled in me, the less procrastinating that I do now. And I think because of the military, that just helped me focus on homework, because I'm like, this stuff is easy. You just got to get it done. Doing my task, bing, bang, boom, it's just done. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on, but that's definitely not all of the pros to join the military at a young age, just to make this video a relatively watchable, good length and not be like 30 minutes of going over all the pros and all the cons. I'm just going to hit on some main points. So those are the pros, and now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the cons. Now, to be honest with you guys, it was actually kind of difficult for me to come up with some cons of joining the military at a young age, because if you've been watching this channel, you know that I think it is, in general, it's a good idea to join at a young age, just for the sole factors of you can retire early if you do 20 years, or if you hate it, you can get out of the military at a young age and you got all the benefits of being a veteran and all that stuff. So you get that regardless of whether you enjoyed it or not. So the first thing I want to talk about is you yourself as a person are going to change more as a person joining the military at a younger age than if you join at a later age. And the reason for that, the reason I'm saying that, it could also be kind of like a pro depending on the kind of person that you are, but I'm saying just something for you to consider that could be a con, is that in those early, you know, ages of being an adult, you are going to change a lot. From age 17 to age 22, your outlook on life, the personality that you have, your friends that you have, your goals that you have, just there's gonna be a lot about you that's going to change in those years of your life. And joining the military at those very influential years of your life is going to have a bigger effect on kind of like who you become for the rest of your life, versus if you get out of high school, you go to college, maybe start a family, work at a company, whatever, you do that, and then you join the military at age, you know, 25 years old, you're gonna be a lot more of like who you are as a person, and the military is gonna have a little bit of a lesser effect on shaping you as a person. You're still gonna be a great soldier, just like if you joined at a younger age, but having them kind of change your personality in a way, which I don't think happens that much, but it'll have a lesser effect if you join at a later age. So if that's something you're worried about, technically joining at a younger age, that would be a con. Now moving on to con number 2, that is going to be you're probably going to be less likely to make a mistake by joining the military at an older age than you are at a younger age. And that one kind of ties to what I've talked about just recently, which is where from those early ages of adulthood development, from 17 to 22, you're going to really start to figure out what you want to do in your life. You know, you may not have it all planned out, but you're going to have a much more focused idea of what you want to do, what kind of environment you thrive in, what kind of things that you want to do with your career, all that stuff, right? So you're gonna kind of know what you want to do a lot better than somebody who is 17 years old that's watched all the Army commercials, that really doesn't know that much about the Army. They don't know that many people who are in the Army, all that stuff. And at a younger age, you could make that mistake by joining, whereas, you know, you do a couple more years as being an adult and you might realize, you know, I really don't think this whole Army thing is actually going to be for me. And, you know, it kind of just, you know, goes away, and ultimately you just go about your life. Now, if you join at an older age and you're 26 years old, 30 years old, 35 years old, odds are, if you join the military, like, you know, this is what I want to do. I've done all this other stuff. The military is it, and you just decide to go to the military. I think that you're going to have a less of a chance of regretting it because you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, you know a little bit more of yourself. Now the third con, and probably a really big one for a lot of people, and this was kind of like a consideration for me whenever I decided not to join at age 18, and that was you just miss out. And I'll put quotes here because I said in the earlier pros that college isn't really that different being older, but you basically miss out on that normal college experience of your peers. You graduate from high school, you maybe go to a college, and you got some of your buddies who were in your high school that you're then freshmen with at whatever college you're going to, and you know, you go live in dorms, and you're just, you know, that normal college age. All of your friends are the same age, you know, you're all kind of going through it together, you're doing it, you know, together, essentially with some of your friends. You may go to more parties or something if that's something that you're really into, that I think you may go to less of as you get more mature. But basically, you're gonna miss out on that normal college experience if you actually join earlier rather than later. Now, I do wanna mention that in my opinion, joining at or going to college at age 22 isn't that much different than going to college at age 18, but you still run into that issue where, you know, if you're older and you go to college, you might get made fun of, which hopefully you can kind of handle being made fun of for being 22 years old, being the old guy. So that's kind of, in my opinion, could be a con, because a lot of people are really kind of worried and they want to have that college experience, and they're worried that joining the military early is gonna, you know, hinder that ability to have the normal college life. Now, don't be knocking these cons because they're not as much tangible as like a pro of getting a retirement at a young age, but the non-tangible kind of things that we worry about, the things that shape our lives and our decisions, these are actually really, really important things, because it's like shaping the direction of your life potentially. And one thing that I know a lot of people are worried about that could be potentially a con is normally when people meet their spouse, it's usually, it could be, you know, at the end of your high school age, early college years, things like that. So you're probably gonna meet your spouse or get married for, in my opinion, you're probably gonna meet them around, you know, age 17 to, I would say, 23 years old. It's probably where the bulk of people end up getting married. I'm not saying that's the right thing or the wrong thing, right age, wrong age. I don't think you should get married if you're not ready to get married to that specific person. But anyways, a lot of people might be concerned about that, and that could definitely be a con, because even though you can get married in the military, there are opportunities for you to meet spouses in the military, or whether they're actually in the military or they're at some duty station somewhere. The pool of people, I guess you could say, is going to be lesser than if you didn't do that. So if you go to college, for example, I went to UNC Charlotte, you go to UNC Charlotte, there's tens of thousands of people there that are my age. You join the military, there might be a few people, a couple hundred people, maybe even a couple thousand people on the base that are your age, but then there's still restrictions if you're talking about wanting to have a relationship with somebody in the military. And then there could still be issues with, like, what are you gonna do to meet people, you know, that aren't in the military? So there could be a little bit of a hindrance of, if you're, one of your things in life is like, you're like, hey, I wanna get married, I wanna start a family. You know, it's not going to stop you from doing that by joining the military, but it definitely maybe could slow you down a little bit, and you may not meet that significant other until you're 23, 24, 25 years old. So that one could definitely be a con, having a smaller chance of meeting your spouse in those early years, but at the same time, that is a pro of having less things holding you back whenever you're actually doing some important stuff, some important life experience building, setting up, you know, potentially retirement, things like that. So I just want to throw that out there. And the last con that I'm going to have here is that joining the military at a younger age, you are probably just straight up more likely to be not mature enough. You might lack some of the leadership skills. You just may be a little bit scared of leaving home, aka possibly not being mature enough to actually do this whole military thing right out the gate. So you might want to wait a couple of years and then do it whenever you're ready. So that could definitely be a con. You could join too early and you haven't kind of developed enough as an adult. You haven't honed your skills of obeying orders from somebody else, right? Because that's definitely a problem for some people, is you join the military and there's just some people who, you know, disobey orders. They don't take orders from people very well, you know, especially if it's a peer. They just have trouble with that, with listening to other people tell them what to do. And that is something that could develop and change and get better over time. And because you joined the military at a younger age, that might not have developed as much, and you might have a worse experience in the military because you're not mature enough. Because the military is gonna be tough. You're gonna go through a lot of struggles. And if you're not mature, those struggles are gonna probably have more of an effect on you than if you join the military in an older age, where again, you're more mature, you kind of know who you are more, and so some of the things that may come at you are just gonna possibly bounce off you a lot more than if you join at a younger age where you're a little bit more vulnerable. So those are my very honest and my personal opinion, pros and cons of joining the military at a younger age. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to check out some more of my videos, hit the subscribe button. That would be even better. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat. If you haven't already, pick up some merch in the merch store. If you want to, use code WARD10 for 10% off. That would be great. I hope you guys have an amazing freaking day, and I'll see y'all later.